This is the first official foreign minister's response after United States dropped the bunker busters on 3 of Iran's nuclear sites at Fordo, at Isfahan, and another one as well.
The U.S. military attack on the territorial integrity and national sovereignty of a UN member state carried out with genocidal Israeli regime, carried out in collusion with the genocidal Israeli regime, has once again revealed the extent of the United States' hostility towards the peace-seeking people of Iran, who will never compromise over their independence and sovereignty. The Islamic Republic of Iran continues to defend Iran's territory, sovereignty, security, and people by all means necessary against not just US military aggression, but also the reckless and unlawful actions of the Israeli regime. While President Trump was elected on a platform of putting an end to America's costly involvement of forever wars in our part of the world, he has betrayed not only Iran by abusing our commitment to diplomacy, but also deceived his own voters by submitting to the wishes of a wanted war criminal who has grown accustomed to exploiting the lives and wealth of American citizens to further the Israeli regime's objectives.
Well, News9 senior executive editor Aditya Rajkol back with us on the broadcast here. Aditya, you've got the Prime Minister's reaction now. He's gotten in touch with the Iranian president and spoken about de-escalation. And you've got the Iranian foreign minister in that first media briefing saying that there's no room for a diplomacy at this point in time. Is de-escalation even possible right now? Dialogue and diplomacy, do you think the atmosphere is conducive for something like that, even as the Prime Minister now gets in touch with the Iranian president?
Well, Kabir, India from the very beginning has maintained that there has to be dialogue and diplomacy that needs to be maintained in the current conflict between Iran and Israel. And even after the B-2 bombers and the United States formally joined the war against Iran by attacking 3 nuclear facilities, including Natanz and, of course, Fordo, there has been significant damage. There have been casualties. There are many people who have died and who have injured also in this attack. India has maintained now, again, in this latest call that Prime Minister Narendra Modi had with the President of Iran, Pezeshkian, reiterating that in the current situation, de-escalation should be the only option and dialogue and diplomacy should continue. This is similar to how US had, intervened when India and Pakistan had a confrontation. But at this particular time, it does seem that there will be escalation. You've already seen the kind of Iranian, missile attacks that have happened in Tel Aviv. In many civilian areas also, there are some casualties that are expected. A lot of buildings and critical, infrastructure has been attacked as well. So it does seem, there are efforts as of now by several countries in the Middle East and those who are in touch with Tehran to de-escalate the situation. We've also seen statements from Saudi Arabia and Oman that have come in. The U.S. bases across the Middle East, particularly in Saudi Arabia and, of course, in UAE, are on a state of high alert as of now because one of the direct targets of the Iranian, revenge or, response could be the U.S. bases all across the Middle East. So it does seem that Iran would be, responding in the next 24 hours against the United States as well. Will better sense prevail across the Middle East? Doesn't seem so immediately. But Donald Trump has also made it very clear that he is not going to attack again. The attacks were only against the nuclear facilities. And as of now, no further attacks will be expected unless, of course, Iran decides to attack U.S. infrastructure, U.S. military, or U.S. bases across the Middle East.
One also has to understand, Aditya, and help the viewers here, because once the dust settles, there's going to be so much of revamping and restructuring that's going to have to be looked at. These red lines that Abbas Araghchi says, new red line is being crossed every new day. The escalation in the rhetoric is only getting higher. And yesterday we were looking at 1 week of the initial attacks. Was it going to go down from there? Well, clearly not. On the 8th day, you've got US that's now entered this war officially. Tomorrow, Abbas Araghchi is going to be meeting with Vladimir Putin. He said, I've been in constant touch with our partners in Kremlin, and we've been briefing them exactly as to what's been happening in the recent talks with US as well. So tomorrow, it seems like Putin, at least on the periphery side, is also going to officially enter the war here. He's going to be in serious consultations, is what Abbas Araghchi says. And they take what Russia says very seriously, isn't it?
Absolutely, Kabir. Over the last many weeks and months, there has been support, considerable support, in fact, that is coming in from Russia, from China, from Pakistan, towards Iran. But how much will they continue to support when it comes to defense, when it comes to strategic pursuits in the region, especially when US has entered the fray, will be very significant. There were reports that Russia may not fully engage as of now. Of course, they have been providing, a lot of military support to Iran over the years. It would be very critical to see what happens in the next 24 to 48 hours. As of now, Middle East seems to be on a brink with the U.S. bombers really attacking the nuclear facilities in Iran, almost swearing revenge. It does seem things are out of control as of now. Of course, Israel is on almost a red alert. Educational institutions have been shut. Medical emergencies have been declared. Several places in central Israel, including in Tel Aviv and around Tel Aviv, have been attacked in the last few hours. And, of course, Israeli airstrikes also continue towards Iran, particularly in Tehran, Shiraz, and many other similar locations where the ballistic missile launcher places have been attacked by the Israeli Air Force and the Israeli Navy as well. So there are hectic diplomatic parleys that have continued over the last few hours, not just the Indian Prime Minister, who is on a very important position because he's engaging both with Israel as well as with Iran. There are several other countries who are also engaged in this, particularly in the Middle East, because countries like Saudi Arabia, UAE, Jordan, Egypt do not want an escalation in the region. They also do not want to fully militarily engage. While Saudi and UAE have condemned the Israeli airstrikes, at the same time, they've also stopped the ballistic missiles that have been coming in from the Iranian side. So it does seem that they have a neutral approach in this kind of a conflict that has emerged in the region. But as I said, the next few hours would be very crucial. It all depends on what Tehran decides to do. On social media, people from Tehran who are close to the regime clearly indicate that there will be revenge, clearly indicate that it is U.S. which has started this, and it is Iran which will end this kind of a conflict. That doesn't seem really good news for the Middle East. And there's been a lot of hot and cold approach from the United States, as you rightly pointed out. They first gave Tehran 2 weeks to respond and then suddenly attacked. In the past also, Donald Trump had said that they had nothing to do with the Israeli attacks in Iran, and then suddenly said that they had control over the skies, Iran. So as of now, of course, Israel wants to create a new reality in the Middle East, and that does mean political change in Iran. At the same time, Donald Trump has made it categorically clear that his aim is not political change. His aim is to ask Iran to stand ground and come to the dialogue table.